Take a look. It's a 270-foot dragon wrapped around one of the country's most iconic skyscrapers, the Empire State Building right here in New York City. So what is it doing there? Craig, word is it was installed by the same aliens who put that monolith.
You beat me to
Yes, in Los Angeles. Actually, it's all part of the new season of HBO's Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon. Empire State Building is also hosting a Game of Thrones experience on the 80th floor, along with a chance to sit on the famous Iron Throne.
What if the aliens are a fan of the show?
Right.
And they install the monolith.
And then
and then the dragon.
Okay.
It's all connected.
Pull it back.
All connected.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wake Up Call channel. What you just saw there, of course, most people will think has something to do with a television show, that a television show is just marketing on top of the Empire State Building. But in that news clip, which you also heard if you could read between the lines of talking about maybe the aliens had something to do with putting the dragon there, these Tavistock puppets on national television talking to their dumbed down audience as if everything is just a big joke. And to most people, everything is a big joke because most people don't have any discernment. But of course, we know there's a lot of significance and a lot of meaning to a lot of the stuff that they show us. There's not just some random dragon that's sitting on top of the Empire State Building for no reason whatsoever other than to market a show. These are things that they show us as signs that they reveal to us. Now, the correlation, of course, how convenient that they started talking about the monolith, which I've talked about with spirits, demons. We've talked about the fallen ones technology, the Nephilim, them talking about aliens, in fact, right? That demons may have put that there. All of this stuff is right in front of our faces. Right? Of course, we know in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 9, the great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth and his angels with him. And that's what we're dealing with here on earth. Now, there's many people that believe that Mystery Babylon is actually New York City. I've read a lot of theories about that. I've read a lot of theories about the Vatican. I've read a lot of theories about the United States of America. Everybody's going to have something to argue about, and it's okay to have an opinion on these topics, but there's a lot of symbolism with New York City as well, being that great city, Mystery Babylon. So I want to show you this for multiple reasons. And isn't it interesting as well that that dragon is wrapped around the Empire State Building? It looks a lot like that serpent wrapped around, that needle. That symbol of medicine that we always see, right? Big Pharma uses it. The medical industry uses it. The World Health Organization uses it, right? Kind of interesting that the dragon was wrapped around just like that at a time where we're seeing the mixing of iron and clay. We're seeing people manipulate their own genetic codes, and that all ties in to the fallen ones and the fallen ones technology. But let me talk to you about this show because I want to show you something else that ties into this. For those of you that don't know about this show, they're telling you that this is based off of a show called The House of Dragon, right? Isn't it interesting that when we look at what this show is based off of, it's based loosely, they claim, based loosely off of the civil war that happened in England called the Anarchy. And of course, that ends up breaking down to the power structure that we currently have. One of the families on the show, called the Targaryens, which is what this show is based off of, the Targaryens and the power structure and civilizations that still rule and reign today. Isn't it interesting that their crest in the show happens to be this red dragon with 3 heads, and you could actually look and very clearly see the 666 right in that symbol of those red dragons. You can see 3 tails spun, very clearly making 3 sixes. And if you look at who the Targaryen kings are based off of historically, well, you go through Alexander the Great, you go through Nero, you go through King Henry, you go through a lot of these bloodlines that still reign today, because of course King Henry's descendants is the current monarchy over in England, right? Elizabeth was related to Henry, King Charles is related to Henry, and even as they talk about the show, they talk about madness, miscarriages, some of the headlines out there, and incest. As in the House of Dragon, real-life royal families have seen it all throughout history because, of course, that's what these power structures are based on. Interbreeding. It's a giant bloodline. And guess what? We're not a part of it. Now, when you try to explain that to the sheeple out there, they get very defensive because they say, well, technically we're all related to each other. That's how they like to look at this stuff instead of saying, hey, there's something to this. These people who are senators that we supposedly elect, presidents that we supposedly elect, all end up being presidents. They're all related to one another, right? From Obama to the Clintons to the Bushes. And all this stuff even goes over to the royal family. How about all these royals that are related to people like Beyonce and Johnny Depp, these Satanists out in the open? I've covered that many times. Those videos are available on the website for anyone that wants to look at the connection between the royal bloodlines. People like Queen Elizabeth and Johnny Depp. And then you go, wait a minute. Oh, is that a coincidence? Well, they're only like third cousins, they tell us out in the open. And we're supposed to go, it's not a big deal. It's not like their brother and sister. That's kind of how they've trained people out there to think that, well, it's not really a big deal. We're all related some way or other, because they want people out there not to realize that everything from the media to corporations to rulers on this earth are all related to one another. And it's not a coincidence. It's done by design. They aren't famous because they're talented. They're famous because this is a control system. So this is an important thing to know. Okay, I'm talking about the royal family and, of course, the connection to King Henry and some of these families in the show that it's loosely based off of. I want to show you this character here, Matt Smith, okay, from the show House of Dragon. Matt Smith, of course, has an obsession with his eye. Here he is holding up a hand over his eye. Can't get enough in his magazine shoots putting his hand over his eye. Now, most people don't really know who Matt Smith is. He's even joined the Black Eye Club here in one of the photographs, or we're supposed to believe it's some type of, it's Marvel, or it's one of these comic dork shows. So we're supposed to just, believe that, that's just there coincidentally as well with the eye symbolism and the all-seeing eye symbol. Of course, he's also done the shh symbolism, right? Putting the finger up over the mouth. These celebrities just love to go shh right in front of you. It's just a matter of when people are going to start saying, hey, I'm seeing a lot of these celebrities do that. What does that mean? Right? Did they just pass gas? What's the secret they don't want you to tell? Some of them just doing that because they've got penises between their legs, even though they are presented to us as women. Is that what the secret is? Well, it's a pretty big secret that most of us already know about these royal families, about these secret societies, and how everything that's going on in the world right now, yes, is biblical, but it's also a system of control that these people are trying to keep a secret from everybody else, and they don't want you to notice the repetition and the patterns. And one of the secrets, was revealed right out in the open by Matt Smith himself when he was on The Late Show or The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Listen to this clip. This is one of those things I always talk about. They tell you these stories. They put the laugh box on. The audience is under full hypnosis. The people at home are under hypnosis. They don't even know what they're talking about. But for those of us with eyes to see and ears to hear, and I know that's the majority of people who listen to my channel, listen to this guy, Matt Smith, talk about meeting King Charles, meeting the royals, and what was the topic they discussed? Well, it was one another's red shoes. Isn't that interesting?
Did you ever meet any of the royals, or did you meet the Queen?
I met Harry. Not the Queen. I met Harry. I met William. I met now King Charles.
Wow.
He came to Doctor Who. He was impeccably dressed, and I went, "You're very well dressed." And he went, "No, you're very well dressed." And I went, "You've got marvelous shoes." And he went, "Actually, you've got marvelous shoes." And I went, "They're red." And he went, "But yours are red." Wow. And I went, "How long have you had yours?" And he said, 35 years.
No.
35 years.
He had his shoes for 35 years.
You'd think as a king he'd be able to,
Yeah, exactly.
afford a new pair of boots.
He had a new pair of shoes.
So, in fact, when you see him holding up a finger over his mouth, well, that's what he's really talking about, is what you heard right there. For those of you that don't know, you think it's a coincidence that King Charles is talking about owning the same pair of shoes for 35 years, these red shoes? It's unbelievable how they get away with this stuff out in the open. And for those of you that don't know what that means in regards to the red shoes, well, guess what? It's a club. The red shoes represent a club. We've seen the Pope wear them. We've seen all these famous tycoons wear the red shoes. And the red shoe is made of a special leather, okay? A special leather. That leather happens to be flesh, but we're not talking about the flesh of an alligator or the flesh of some animal out there. The animal, of course, that they like to target isn't something that they hunt out in the wilderness. They hunt in our day-to-day lives, and that's children, because that's what the Red Shoe Club represents, and that's why you see those famous photos of the Podestas and all these world leaders wearing red shoes. It's not because they went to McDonald's and they wanted to pay homage to Ronald McDonald. And Ronald McDonald and those clowns, which are demons, that we always see in famous paintings and famous photos, always happen to be wearing those big red clog shoes, right? Well, what do you think that's based off of? The Red Shoe Club. So is it all a coincidence that this guy who is Matt Smith, who is playing this character, and it's, again, loosely based off of the setup that we see today. They won't tell you that, but they say, well, this is basically based loosely off of Alexander the Great and Nero and King Henry and a lot of this stuff that happened a long time ago, from the Roman Empire to the Egyptians it all connects to today's world. They just keep throwing these things at, it goes back to the Roman Empire, it goes back to the Egyptians. It's all connected to who's in charge now. The illusion is that they want you to think in most of these countries that these people in power are selected. They're all parts of the same bloodlines, which go over to the monarchy in England. And this show itself is based off of that, right? That's what it's based off of. The power structure that we're currently living under, the enslavement that we're currently living under these people who we're supposed to look up to, these people who we're supposed to think are there organically, or the royals, which is probably one of the most bizarre things to me, with the royal family, with Charles, with Elizabeth, with what's coming, with Kate, right? With the potion that'll eventually save Kate from this disease that's never been able to be solved before, that these same people put onto us by putting chemicals and aluminum and barium in our food and our water and dumping it on us from the sky and polluting our air. That's what's coming next, which I talk about again on the website. But it's amazing to me how many people bow down to the royals without saying, who are these people? Why are these people in charge? Who made these people king and queen, right? People just bow down. And not only do they bow down, they don't even realize that this princess programming, this king and queen programming that they've put throughout all these films from childhood, actually get people to worship the royal family without caring or wondering about what they do behind closed doors, about how wicked they could potentially be. They just drool and bow and they go, it's the king and queen. And they line the streets and bow down to the same monarchy that has enslaved them. Pretty incredible, right? But I had to show you that because, look, the Empire State Building, this has never been done before. We've never seen them do something on the Empire State Building in general like this, other than, the football team won the big game and they lit it up in their colors, right? Of course, I'm sure they'll be lighting it up in rainbow colors this month, not, of course, for the flood that God created, that he said he would never flood, and the promise that he made that he would never flood the earth again, of course, just for those people that, are put on a pedestal. But they do this. They wrap a dragon around there. Then they want you to look at it, and people out there are going, this is a little bit weird, right? The dragon, right? Again, Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, the great dragon was hurled down, the ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Them on the news, when they're covering this, talking about a connection between the monolith and aliens and the dragon. I mean, how dumb do people have to be to not realize this stuff? But they are, because they think everything is about money and marketing and television shows, that somehow a TV show has the ability to do this on the Empire State Building. They do it because they know they can get away with showing you this stuff in plain sight. Even showing you things that are coming in plain sight, right? When we talk about predictive programming, how they do this stuff in movies like Leave the World Behind. And then conveniently, what starts happening since Leave the World Behind comes out? 911 is down, and the Purge movies too, don't forget those. 911 is down, cell phones are out, Facebook is down, Instagram is down. Everybody goes, it's just a conspiracy, right? They start thinking to themselves, it could be something that is a little bit weird. Then they just get told by the same talking heads in the media that it's all a coincidence, right? That it's a conspiracy to think anything else. But don't think it's a conspiracy when Matt Smith, is on national television. And what's he telling you about? This weird connection he has with King Charles and having red shoes when he's playing a member of the royals or the royal monarchy on this television show, these royal bloodlines that rule and control. It's absolutely sickening, and it's also absolutely incredible that they are able to get away with this still to this day without anybody out there really paying attention to it. Well, I'm paying attention. I know everybody out there who listens to my channels do pay attention to these things too. Always stay alert. Always realize when they're talking like that in code on these shows, it's scripted. He didn't just go out there like, hey, we're going to have Matt Smith on. And Matt Smith's just going to, he meets Jimmy Fallon and he's like, hey, hey, can't wait to talk to you out there. right? Like as if they're just going to go and meet for the first time and nothing's going to be ironed out of what they're going to say. Of course it's deliberately ironed out. And he's like, oh yeah, I want to tell this story about the red shoes, right? And they know that the audience out there has no idea what they're referencing, even though we're trying as hard as we can to bring attention to the red shoes and all these other things that have to do with children and have to do with these bloodlines that they talk about on these HBO type shows. These same bloodlines that really are the serpent bloodline. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.